Together!
Well, I came back from Hobbit, and I received an email saying that Legendary Pictures was developing this property called Pacific Rim, and they attached a few pages of a synopsis of a pitch. And I read it and immediately called them and said, can I come in and tell you my take on it? I immediately engaged on it.
There's very few people that have the imagination and the passion to tell a story from the heart about monsters and robots. And of course, Guillermo, part of the way he creates these wonderful worlds is by making them completely human stories within that. It's a very heightened version of exactly the world we live in, with all of the problems that we deal with in our everyday lives, but basically on the brink of apocalypse. But
we cancelled the apocalypse, just FYI.
Yes, we did.
We cancelled that apocalypse.
The idea was to create not only the robots and the monsters, but to create a world that they could inhabit. So what I did is immediately I latched onto the idea of World War II, rationing, the world coming together for a common cause, alliances, and more than anything, the idea that we need to trust each other to survive. All that came really quick, and my first pitch, my first idea to them was each robot should need 2 pilots to survive, So the most important thing in the movie is if you're not together, you're gonna die. If you guys are not in sync, you're gonna die. And I think that was the most important metaphor for me. If we're not together, we're gonna die.
One of the really interesting details, which I think is the thing that captured Guillermo's imagination right at the beginning of this whole thing, is this idea that the Jaeger pilots are neurologically connected to the machine, so there's no interface necessary. If I have a thought to throw a punch and throw the punch, the machine is going to do it simultaneously. But they're so vast, these machines, that it would be too much for one brain to interact alone with the machine. So he created this dynamic where it requires 2 people working in complete coordination to operate one of these machines, which is the great dynamic that's created in the film. And due to a huge tragedy in the beginning of the film, am no longer able to work with my co-pilot, and so I have to find another co-pilot, and there's a long hard process, because generally it's brothers or lovers or people that are completely in sync that are able to share this space, because once we're connected to the machine, we're also connected to each other. So every secret, every memory, every fear, every thought in our mind is completely accessible to our co-pilot. And so you can imagine what a vulnerable state that would put you in, sharing everything.
Marshall, can we just talk about this for 1 second? You rescued her. You raised her. You're not protecting her now. You are holding her back.
1, don't you ever touch me again. 2, don't you ever touch me again. Now, you have no idea who the hell I am or where I've come from, and I'm not about to tell you my whole life story. All I need to be to you and everybody on this dome is a fixed point. The last man standing. I do not need your sympathy or your admiration. All I need is your compliance and your fighting skills. And if I can't get that, then you can go back to the wall that I found you crawling on. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
To me, a movie like this, the effects are characters. The effect is not a movie where you go, now it's a character moment, now it's an effects moment. The effects are character moments. Because the kaiju and the robots, the Jaegers, are as much characters as any of the human characters. And we needed to design them and animate them to have real personality. Each of the robots, each of the kaiju have a distinct personality and a distinct visual code that creates a sense of variety and a sense of really diversity that always keeps you entertained.
I believe that Kaiju bone powder is $500 a pound. What do you want?
I need to access a Kaiju brain. Completely intact.
No. The skull plate is so dense that by the time you drill into
The
it...
brain's rotted away, but I'm talking about the secondary brain. Now, we both know that the Kaiju are so large they need two brains to move around like a dinosaur. I want to get my hands on that.
What the hell do you want a secondary brain for anyway? I mean, every part of the Kaiju cells. Cartilage, spleen, liver. Even the crap. But the brain? Too much ammonia. So what's the deal, little fella?
Well, that's classified. So I couldn't tell you, even if I wanted to. But it is pretty cool.
I heard about the project because my dear friend Charlie Hunnam, who I do a TV series with called Sons of Anarchy, told me that he just got a phone call from Guillermo Del Toro and that he was going to play the starring role in Pacific Rim. And I said, wow, that's incredible. Where's my phone call? And ultimately, it took a couple of months after all of the big decisions were made. He said, I have a little surprise waiting for you, my friend. And he sent me the script, and I read like 50 pages of it, and I forgot to ask what part I was looking at. So I called him up, and I said, what's the role you want me to be looking at? He said, Hannibal Chow. I said, no, really, what's the role you want me to be looking at? He said, Hannibal Chow. And I went, I don't think that was meant for me to play. But there you have it.
I would love to shoot a sequel. If we are blessed with a good response from the audience, I would love to do that.